which, might take half an hour or something. Okay, here we go. Yeah, if anyone, you can stay, go as you like. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presta Bhutale Shamati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharne Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pastyatya Deshatarne Shri Krishna Chaitanya Pramanityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivas Adi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vanchkalpatarubhyas cha kripa sindubhya eva cha, patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So yes, devotees. As far as I can see, we have 6 questions. One of them has a couple of parts to it, but yes, not so much. So first question, why do I feel I have gotten away from Krishna consciousness when I am I am with materially minded people? How to protect myself in such situations? Well, if you don't mind, a really straight answer to your question: don't associate with materially minded people. How's that? If they sort of push you out of Krishna consciousness, or their association does, then don't associate with materially minded people. But if you're with materially minded people, and you try to guide the discussion so it's focused on Krishna consciousness, then that will protect you if you're able to do it nicely. That will protect you, and it will help them possibly become devotees. Or even if they don't become devotees, at least they'll get great benefit if you're talking about Krishna and encouraging them like that. Even if they don't take to it, they will get benefit. So, there's a verse or a line. There's a line from a verse by Lord Chaitanya in which he defines a devotee. What is a devotee? And he says, Asat Sangha Tyaga A Vaishnav Achar. What is a Vaishnav, or what are the activities of a Vaishnav? Asat Sangha Tyaga. To just renounce the asat, the temporary material association. Yeah. So, if you're working with materialistic people, then of course it's going to be more difficult. But if you're working with materialistic people, then I would suggest actually the same principle. just don't get involved with them. Just do your job as much as you can and keep to yourself, and don't socialize and get caught up in their talk about, oh, what I did on the weekend and what party did I go to and all that sort of thing. Yeah. You know, for becoming Krishna conscious, you can say there's a sort of a price to pay. And the price is that you've got to drop out of the regular material association. But anyway, if somehow you just can't, for some reason, then before you go into that material association, really chant very attentively, very enthusiastically. And that will give you some strength, which will hopefully help you deal with them without being caught up. Otherwise, it's inevitable. Just like if you go outside and it's a hot day, you must get hot. You know, unless, I don't think they make personal, like fully portable air conditioners, do they? I've seen hats. Bhakti Tirtha Swami many years ago had a hat with a fan, a solar-powered fan. I don't know. But if it's really cold and you go outside, you must get cold. It's the principle of association. So if you're exposed to bad association, you must get affected. Unless you just close yourself off from it, or try and turn the focus of the association around to Krishna consciousness. Number 2, I am trying my level best to follow the process of Krishna consciousness nicely, but I have a habit of lying from time to time. Maybe you're lying when you say you're trying your level best to follow the process of Krishna consciousness. Anyway, I shouldn't say that, should I? That's a bit... Anyway, but people might say it. I know it is bad. How do I get rid of this habit? Please help. Yes, well, you know, the thing is that you know, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the 8th canto, the story of Lord Vamana with Bali Maharaj. It's a long story, but Lord Vamana, well, actually Bali Maharaj, offers charity to Lord Vamana, who says, thank you, I'll just take as much land as I can cover in 3 of my steps. And like I say, it's a long story, but basically his priest, Shukracharya, tries to convince Bali Maharaj, don't do it. But Bali Maharaj says, I've already done it, so how can I not do it? And Shukracharya says, well, just tell a lie. Just tell that you can't do it. Something. Anything. And he tells him that when you're in danger, it's all right to tell a lie. It's okay. Does that sound good? No, doesn't sound good. It's Shukracharya, he's a character. Very materialistic. So he says like that it's okay to lie. Just tell him some lies and get out of it. And Bali Maharaj replies that Mother Earth, this planet, can tolerate anything, but she cannot tolerate a liar. So honesty, truthfulness, is one of the basic principles of being a devotee. Devotees are very honest and straightforward. So you have to appreciate that. You have to appreciate that if you want to be a devotee, you have to stop lying. Otherwise, it will stop you being a devotee. You'll offend devotees by lying to them. I've seen some devotees who have that sort of habit. They want to keep everyone happy. So whatever anybody says, they just agree. And if someone asks for some help, anyone, they just agree, yes. But the thing is, you can't agree with everyone. Like, if they ask you, are you going to come to the program? Or someone asks you, you're going to come to the program, right? And then you say, oh yes. And then another person says, you don't want to come to the program, do you? And you say, oh no. And then they may find out, and they'll think there's something wrong with you. Yeah. So being straightforward, honest, straightforward, is a characteristic of a devotee. It's one of the austerities of speech, as Krishna describes in Bhagavad Gita. To speak the truth. It's an austerity of speech. So if you want to become a devotee, then you have to start practicing honesty. Because if at some point you accept a spiritual master and you lie to him, then Krishna will find out. Krishna will tell him. Krishna knows, but Krishna will tell him in one way or another, directly, indirectly, if you lie to the spiritual master. So you got to understand that it's important as a devotee to be honest, and therefore you got to practice it. And you got to understand that it's an offense to be dishonest, to be untruthful, and that if you continue being untruthful, you'll fall down from Krishna consciousness. Number 3, what to do when there is no devotee association at all for me? Well, you know what you do? You get on the internet and you find the devotee programs. And there's so many devotee programs on Zoom, on Facebook, on YouTube, just all sorts. You can spend 24 hours a day in the association of devotees on the internet. Otherwise, anyway, that's the simple answer. And it's a good answer. It's really true. Otherwise, maybe you have to relocate to where there are devotees. It depends. If you're just living on your own, then it's easier. If you've got a whole family, well, then it's another thing. Then you'd have to get onto the internet and find the devotees on the internet. There's so many. And get their association like that. Four, I saw the initiation ceremony on Friday, and I would like to know, why do you change the devotees' names when you initiate them? Well, this is our practice as given by Srila Prabhupada, because our material name, it's part of our whole material background and just what we are materially. And Krishna consciousness means a new birth, a whole new life, just getting completely free from the old materialistic past which, we were absorbed in before. So of course an important part of that is your identity. And people ask you, who are you? What's your name? And you say, well, I'm John Smith or something. That's who I am. But you're not John Smith or whatever, the name might be. That's who you were when you were materialist. And you were just doing sinful activity, sense gratification, and all sorts of nonsense. You were John Smith. But now you've taken to Krishna consciousness. Now you are Krishna Das. At least in a general sense, you are the servant of Krishna. That's who you are. So at the time of initiation, the spiritual master gives a devotee a name which generally, not always, but generally, much more often than not, begins with the same letter that your previous name began with. Usually, not always. But it's a name of Krishna, or a name of a devotee of Krishna, a great devotee, or it may be something to do with devotional service, something to do with chanting, names which are connected with Krishna, so that when people address you, like just for argument's sake, say you're given the name Chaitanya Das, then when people call you Chaitanya Das, what do you think you're doing? Or anyway, Chaitanya Das, where are you? Then you remember, oh yes, Lord Chaitanya, I am Chaitanya Das. Das means servant. So that's the idea. It's part of the new identity. It's part of the new identity. And the real identity as a devotee. So that was number 4. Here's number 5. If in a family the children have followed ISKCON first and later introduced it to the parents, and the children have taken second initiation, parents may have taken their first initiation from the spiritual master. But, so, what should the relationship between the children and the parents be like? Because you're suggesting, the devotee is suggesting, obviously, now the children, like if there's one of the children is a young man, young man, now he is the senior godbrother of his father. It happens. But it's part of the etiquette that you have to be respectful and humble before your seniors. Even those, particularly like parents, those in your family, even though you may have been initiated before, still you've got to be respectful to your parents, and maybe there's uncles and aunts also. Yeah, so don't start getting proud that I have been a devotee 5 years and my parents have only been devotees 3 years. So I am more advanced and they must respect me, and I don't need to say anything to them. No, that's not how Krishna consciousness works. If you got a nice family and everyone's sincerely trying to be a devotee, then the children who may have been devotees even for a few years longer, but they must be very respectful to their parents and not sort of come on like we think we're better, belittle the parents. Yeah. So the relationship should be one of love as a family and as a family of devotees. And the family should work together. The family should work together and help each other. If the children are still quite young, I mean like late teenage or early 20s, they'll still need guidance from their parents. Right. Until what age? 40? 30? For some time, isn't it? Or, if their parents, particularly if the parents are devotees, if the parents are not devotees, then you don't really need so much advice. If you needed advice, it would only be on some very material things. Yeah. Otherwise, take advice from the devotees and the spiritual master. Yeah. So, yes, so they're now a God family, but does the parent-child relationship still exist? Well, it does. But I know a number of families where the children are now adults and real adults, they're married. And the parents are devotees too. And I've seen the children often address their parents. The parents are initiated by their devotee names. Do your children do that? No. Anyway, I've seen even, Nanda Kumar and Nanda Kishore with Jai Radhika, his grandmother. From what I've seen, he calls her Mother Jai Radhika, not, what would you say, Amma or something. In Hindi, what's grandmother? Nani or Dadi? Well, yeah, she's the paternal grandmother. Dadi. Or in Tamil, it's Amma, isn't it? Amma? Yeah, okay, anyway. So yeah, it depends. But devotees should always be respectful of older devotees. Older means more senior spiritually, and older means older. Krishna consciousness means a movement of respect. Yeah, not a movement of pride. That we're respectful of everyone, and including those who are older than us materially. Devotee, or anyone, but devotees particularly. Yeah. Okay, so I'd say that's the basic idea. And last question. I am quite new in the path of devotion. After a few days of following the devotional path regularly, for some reason or another, after a break, it becomes difficult for me to be regular again. How can I be steady in the path of devotion? Well, the answer to that is kind of pretty straightforward, pretty obvious, you could say. But still, there's a really important point there, is that we should not take a break from Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is not just like some hobby that you do in your spare time, some sort of recreational thing you do when, on the weekends maybe, or something like that. Like you might play some sport, you might play golf or cricket or tennis or something on the weekends. But during the week you don't play it at all. But Krishna consciousness is not like that. It's a whole way of life. And we have to really try and take to it as a way of life. And so 24/7, in other words, we're involved, we're engaged in Krishna consciousness, and then we will just feel progressively better and better and better, and then we'll feel better and even more better. So this idea of taking a break, you can take, in a sense, like on the weekends generally people take a break from work. So sometimes you could do some Krishna conscious activity which is not your regular duty, your regular Krishna conscious duty. If some opportunity comes up for a bit of variety. Prabhupada said that variety is the mother of enjoyment. So in Krishna consciousness also, we need a little variety in Krishna consciousness, but not like variety in the sense that, I've been Krishna consciousness for the week, and now the weekend's here, and I'm going to just get out of Krishna consciousness and do some material things. And on Monday I'll come back to Krishna consciousness. Then you won't be steady, as you've noted. We really have to take Krishna consciousness as an ongoing process. Not a stop and start and start and stop and start and stop sort of thing like that. You won't be able to become steady if you keep doing like that. Regulated. Have some fixed service. Chant a fixed number of rounds every day. Of course, you're new to it, so you may not have really got involved to that degree, but you should try to, step by step at least, get involved to the point where you're either directly or indirectly engaged in Krishna consciousness, at least during the waking hours. And then you can become steady. And when you become steady, it's really nice, because then you will steadily experience the bliss of Krishna consciousness. Steadily. Hare Krishna. Any questions from any of you devotees here in the room? How to say apsabjantahe? Is that correct? Apsabjantahe. You know everything. What do you say, Lalita Kund? Is that good Hindi?
Yes. Apsabjantahe means you know everything.
Basic Hindi. Okay.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. As you said that we should be respectful for all the devotees, especially senior devotees, but as our in family and our parents and relatives, they are not as they are not devotees, but they are senior. So, what's our attitude towards them?
Yeah, well, the thing is, we should be respectful to all living entities, even the ants. What to speak of people who, we've had a relationship of some sort with, because if they're like your aunts and uncles and people, maybe you haven't been living with them, but generally you would know them. And you might know them very well. So one should always be respectful because they're older. And if they see you are respectful, they will appreciate you. But if you are not, if now you're a devotee and you treat them like they're, just nobody in particular, then they're going to think, it will reflect on your Krishna consciousness in their minds. They'll think, oh, this fellow became a Hare Krishna devotee and suddenly he's treating us, not nicely. Yeah. And they'll think that, this Krishna consciousness is not good. He was a nice boy. He was good to us before. But he became Krishna conscious, and now he treats us like we're just silly fools. Even it's funny. In the 7th canto, where Narada Muni is instructing, I think it's Vasudeva, if I remember correctly, about different things. Different stages of life, including family life. So he says a really good thing. It's really good. Let me just tell you. Let me read it to you. Okay, here we go. This is 7th canto, chapter 14, verse 6. An intelligent man in human society should make his own program of activities very simple. This is referring to devotees who are now, to devotees, but householders. They're now householders. And they're devotees, but the other relatives and people, they're not devotees. So how to deal with them? If there are suggestions from his friends, children, parents, brothers, or anyone else, he should externally agree, saying, yes, that is all right. But internally, he should be determined not to create a cumbersome life in which the purpose of life will not be fulfilled. Yeah. So you've got to be nice to them. If you're not nice, it'll reflect, they'll think that this Krishna consciousness is bad. And we don't want them to think like that. So, nicely, yes, sounds good. But then you just carry on with your program. Yeah. Okay?
Thank you very much.
Gurudev, people often say to me that your son is serving Guru for 27, 28 years and you're definitely going back to God and he'll take you back. So my question is, what about my own contribution to Krishna consciousness and how true is this?
Yeah, well, your sons, plural, one of them at least, they're both devotees, one more than the other. So, yeah, if he really progresses, he'll help you go back to Godhead just through the family relationship. Not that necessarily he's going to instruct you and guide you and in that sense, but just through being in the same family, through you being his mother. So that's good. It will help you. The more advanced he becomes, the more it will help you go back to Godhead. But still, as Prabhupada did say, we all have to fly our own airplanes. And we can't just sort of relax and say, yes, my son's taking me back to Godhead. I'll just take it easy. No, you got to practice to the best of your ability. Yeah. Because going back to Godhead's not so easy. We need all the help we can get. And we need to make all the effort we can make. Yeah. But still, both of them, they're both devotees, one more than the other, but the other is also a devotee. And he may not be very advanced, or whatever degree of advancement is there, you'll get some. But don't depend on that. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.